The Chicago Bears are entering a pivotal phase of the offseason where every personnel decision will define the trajectory of the next 3 seasons. We are seeing a flurry of activity that ranges from strategic draft board calculations to significant roster turnover that is reshaping the defensive secondary. From the whispers out of Hallis Hall about potential draft targets at pick number 25 to the reality of key veterans heading elsewhere, the landscape is shifting rapidly. Today, we are breaking down the implications of these moves and what they mean for the upcoming campaign.
As we approach the later stages of the draft preparation, the conversation surrounding the Chicago Bears and their 25th overall pick has centered on addressing high-value positions with immediate impact potential. Lately, the name Dylan Thieneman has surfaced with increasing frequency among league circles and internal scouting conversations as a logical, perhaps even necessary selection for this organization. When you look at the current defensive makeup in Chicago, there is a clear strategic need for a versatile piece that can stabilize the back end of the secondary, and Dylan Thieneman profiles as a prospect who understands the nuance of modern passing schemes better than most in this class. His ability to diagnose play development before the snap is precisely the kind of processing power that Matt Eberflus prioritizes in his defensive system. We have seen how this regime values players who can wear multiple hats, moving from a deep safety alignment to a box presence without sacrificing coverage integrity. If we analyze the tape on Dylan Thieneman, his spatial awareness and zone coverage is elite, and his tackling mechanics are fundamentally sound, which minimizes the risk of explosive plays against the defense. From a tactical standpoint, drafting a player like this allows the defensive coordinator to maintain flexibility in personnel packages, ensuring that the team is not caught in unfavorable matchups against elite tight ends or slot receivers. Furthermore, when considering the historical context of how this front office has approached the draft, they tend to target high-character players who exhibit a high floor in their transition from the collegiate ranks to the professional level. Dylan Thieneman fits that prototype perfectly, offering a blend of athleticism and football intelligence that suggests he could step into a rotation immediately as a rookie. The financial flexibility of having a player on a cost-controlled rookie contract for 4 years is also a significant factor that cannot be ignored in today's cap-constrained environment. As the organization evaluates its needs, the selection of Dylan Thieneman represents a move toward long-term sustainability rather than just filling a temporary roster vacancy. This is about building a cohesive unit that can compete consistently within the division. While many analysts might look at flashier positions, the smart move here is reinforcing the foundation of the secondary, and that is exactly where the focus remains as we get closer to draft night. It is a calculated gamble on a player who has shown the consistency required to thrive under the bright lights of a major market, and the front office seems to be leaning into that logic more every single day. But that is not the only situation developing right now as we look at how the rest of the roster is being constructed through other avenues.
If you are enjoying this deep dive into the Bears offseason strategy, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. We are tracking every move at Hallis Hall, so stay tuned.
When evaluating the current state of the Chicago Bears, we have to credit the aggressive yet calculated approach taken by Ryan Poles during this free agency cycle. The strategy has been clear: identify high-upside veterans who fill specific gaps and provide the leadership necessary for a developing roster. First, the acquisition of a veteran pass rusher has fundamentally changed the ceiling of this defensive front. By prioritizing pressure off the edge, Ryan Poles has addressed the single biggest weakness from last season. The tactical advantage of having a reliable presence on the outside creates a ripple effect, allowing the secondary to play more aggressively while forcing opposing quarterbacks into hurried decisions. Second, the investment in offensive line depth cannot be overstated. We have seen too many seasons derailed by injuries in the trenches, and the addition of experienced blockers provides the kind of insurance policy that keeps a franchise quarterback upright and productive. It is a move that balances immediate protection with long-term roster stability. Third, the study of a versatile playmaker in the receiving corps has added a dimension to the offense that was clearly missing. This player brings a skill set that forces defenses to stretch the field horizontally, which in turn opens up lanes for the running game. Finally, the fourth move was the strategic retention of key special teams contributors, a move that often goes unnoticed by the casual observer, but is essential for winning the field position battle on a weekly basis. Ryan Poles has shown a keen ability to maximize every dollar spent, ensuring that the team remains competitive while preserving future cap flexibility. Looking at the broader impact, these moves are not just about talent acquisition. They are about establishing a culture of accountability and high performance. Each player brought in has a specific role, and there is no ambiguity about what is expected from them when they step onto the field. The analysis of these moves suggests that the front office is not just throwing money at problems, but is instead identifying the exact personnel required to execute a specific vision for both sides of the ball. As we look ahead, the integration of these new pieces into the existing locker room culture will be the next major hurdle. However, the early returns from team workouts and organizational meetings indicate that the chemistry is building faster than anticipated. The depth chart now looks significantly more robust than it did just a few months ago, and the competition for starting spots during training camp is going to be fierce. This level of roster construction is exactly what fans have been waiting for, a sign that the leadership is serious about building a championship-caliber team. The ripple effects of these 4 moves will be felt throughout the season, and it sets the stage for the final piece of the puzzle, which involves some difficult goodbyes and the completion of the secondary overhaul.
The narrative of the Chicago Bears' defensive secondary has taken a definitive turn this week as we see the final stages of a complete roster migration. A key safety from the Chicago secondary is officially making the move to Indianapolis, a development that signals the end of an era for that specific unit. This departure, while expected by those closely monitoring the contract situation, leaves a void that the coaching staff will need to address with extreme precision. When a player of this caliber leaves, you are not just losing a contributor on the field, you are losing the institutional knowledge of the system and the chemistry that had been developed over several seasons. The destination is the Indianapolis Colts, where Dennis Allen will be tasked with integrating this veteran into a scheme that requires high-level communication and situational awareness. For the Chicago Bears, this move is a clear indication that the front office is prioritizing a new direction for the defensive backfield, perhaps favoring more speed and youth over the veteran presence that had occupied those spots previously. We have seen this type of transition before, where a team decides to turn the page entirely to reset the culture and the salary structure. The financial implications are significant, as freeing up that cap space allows the organization to pursue other targets or lock up core pieces for the long term. Tactically, this leaves the Chicago coaching staff with the challenge of blending new, unproven talent with the remaining veterans to ensure that there is no drop-off in production. It is a delicate balance, and the upcoming OTA sessions will be critical in determining who earns the trust of the defensive coordinator. From the perspective of the Indianapolis Colts, bringing in a player with this much experience is a massive win for Dennis Allen. He gets a player who knows how to handle the professional expectations and can mentor the younger defensive backs in the Indianapolis locker room. It is a symbiotic move for both teams, even if it feels like a blow to the Chicago faithful who had grown accustomed to seeing that familiar jersey in the secondary. As we look at the broader implications, this move underscores the reality of the modern NFL. No one is immune to roster turnover, and even the most established defensive units are subject to change as the organization shifts its philosophy. The focus now shifts to who will step up to fill the void, and whether the incoming draft picks or internal depth pieces can rise to the challenge. The transition period is always the most volatile time of the offseason, and this particular departure is just one piece of a much larger puzzle that the Chicago Bears are assembling for the upcoming year. As the team moves forward, the focus will remain on building a unit that is faster, more versatile, and capable of executing the complex defensive assignments that will be required to compete at the highest level of the league.
It has been an incredibly busy period for the organization, and the developments we discussed today are just the tip of the iceberg for the Chicago Bears. Between the draft board strategy, the successful free agency acquisitions, and the significant shifts in the secondary, the team is clearly in a state of rapid evolution. Do you think the departure of this safety is the right move for the long-term health of the defense? And are you satisfied with the current draft priorities we have outlined? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Make sure to like this video and subscribe for more insider updates from the facility. We will be back soon with more.